Well, the decision by the nation's high court will certainly impact educational diversity. For how that could happen, we're joined by Khademian. She's the executive director of the universities at Shady Grove, a regional higher education center for the University System of Maryland. Anne, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us on Morning Rush. So we know that this ruling is going to have a profound ripple effect through the next generation at minimum when it comes to the racial makeup of our student bodies across the nation. I want to take a look at just an example of when California public schools there, universities, they did away with, banning race-based admissions there. They weren't able to meet their diversity and equity goals, and that is despite $500 million spent on outreach and things like that to make sure that they did get diverse students there. So moving forward, how much of a responsibility then now falls on the universities to make sure that they do have those diverse student bodies after this?
Well, it's a huge responsibility, and I think it's going to force and prompt some real creativity in how we go about meeting those goals. And I think there's opportunities now for thinking about new models of how we achieve high quality education that reaches everyone. If I could share a little bit of context for you, I'm here at the universities at Shady Grove. We're a regional higher education center in the University System of Maryland, and we partner here with 9 universities on one campus. And so we are a transfer-only institution. So students get their degree at a community college, and then they transfer into one of our programs for their 3rd and 4th year here. This model is very affordable, it's very accessible, it's centered in equity, and I think it's going to be the kind of approaches that we have to start thinking about more holistically. We need to be really centering the student experience. What is that student experience like? Not only when they're a senior in high school, but beginning in middle school or earlier. How do we think about pathways and supports for students all the way into higher education? How do we partner more explicitly with employers to think about pathways that are not only educational pathways, but are pathways that include experiential learning opportunities, and think holistically about that student journey and the employment journey as well. Here at the universities at Shady Grove, we are very focused on this. Our student body here, we have about over 3,000 students. They are predominantly non-white. Many of our students are first-generation college students. Many of our students work, they have family responsibilities, and there's a flexibility here to this model. And I think this is the direction that higher education needs to be thinking. We need to be thinking about centering the student experience. We need to be thinking about pathways. We need to be thinking about partnerships with employers. So I think there are many things we can do in higher education to meet this challenge. It's going to take some creativity and some paradigm shift thinking as well.
Some fascinating reporting in the New York Times this morning. They talked about 5 ways that admissions could change in the aftermath of this ruling. Just a few highlights in that article. The personal essay becomes more important. Fewer schools will require SATs and ACTs. Preferences for the wealthy could end. By the way, there's a new legislative effort to end legacy admissions, another form of affirmative action that gets far less attention. A new measure of merit, adversity indexes, what you've been through in your life, what you've overcome, and changes to recruitment efforts, where and how colleges try to find prospective students. Of those possible changes, which do you think could be the most effective if the goal remains to still have a diverse student body?
So I think those are all important changes. And I want to emphasize that here at the universities at Shady Grove, we do not make admissions decisions. Our academic partners make those decisions, but then the students are here on our campus. All of our academic partners are looking carefully at the way they make decisions for admissions to make sure that they can continue to be as inclusive and supportive as possible. I think all of those are important things. Again, I want to emphasize, I think one of the most important things is that we're thinking holistically about a student journey. It's not just when they start in high school, start thinking about college, it's how we support them throughout. And I think for greater diversity, for more equity, we need to think more like educational ecosystems and less like competitive institutions in order to support the students coming into higher education.
And just as a reminder, Chief Justice Roberts did write yesterday, almost as a warning of sorts to universities around the country, quote, universities may not simply establish through application essays or other means the regime we hold unlawful today. What cannot be done directly cannot be done indirectly. So very interesting kind of warning there about whatever may come in the aftermath of this decision. Ann Khademian, Executive Director of the universities at Shady Grove, really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much.